Hey, everybody. It is Kurt Molly here again. I'm here with a good friend of mine, Mr. Miles Beckler. Hey, I got to tell you, I didn't really know much about Miles a couple of years ago. I've kind of heard a little bit about him kind of here and there. And then all of a sudden he pops up inside of our free group and he really starts using some content. And then he pops up in the paid group and he really starts using some content. And he starts talking about some of the stuff that he's doing on YouTube. And we're like, the things that are coming out of his mouth is very interesting, very smart. And what is he doing? We start taking a look at his YouTube. Oh my goodness, holy crap, it's amazing. So one of the things is I personally, as this kind of downtime or low, whatever we want to call it, I want to study a bunch of different marketing. One of it is definitely YouTube. You know, we just talked to Tom Breeze. We had an interview recently. We'll be talking to Mike Rhodes here in just a little bit. But the conversation that we just had before I turned on the recording it's one of those things I almost wish I had the recording on, but I'll just dive deeper into it. Because what a lot of people try to do, we talk about this over and over, this is so good. What so many people try to do is they try to make their shiny little stuff, or as Jesse Elder said yesterday, they're shiny, and they try to shine it up so much. And we say that your marketing will sell your product and your product will keep people from refunding. Well, what happens if you just did the whole Jay Abraham thing where you just added a lot of value and you didn't have any products? How would you be able to accumulate 100 views or thousands of views or millions of views where you don't really have a product, you just kind of serve? Well, so Miles is doing right now, and that's what I want to talk a lot more about, because I mean, and not only have you supported us in the belt, thank you, but one of the like nuggets of gold that I've gotten from you that I want to dive down, that I think we were talking through a message, or it was inside the group, where you said 2 years ago, a friend of yours dove deep into Facebook groups, and you had mentioned like, hey, start this YouTube channel, and I may be wrong on this a little bit, but you just went all in on YouTube, and your friend's kind of still figuring some stuff out with some groups, and your YouTube is just taken off. So first of all, thank you for being here. Second of all, I'm going to ask you a bunch of questions, because again, you don't have shiny stuff that you are slinging. What is this whole thing of serving other people to produce a following and an income? This is amazing.
What is this whole being a good human being idea all about? So Kurt, thanks for having me on, man. And thanks for putting this together in such a short time frame. I can only imagine the logistics of this. And what you're doing here is you're embodying exactly what my philosophy is, which kind of comes from Jay Abraham. And it's like, if we give enough value to enough people, we become the de facto celebrity authority, if you will, to those people, to that group of people. And you can go all the way back to Kevin Kelly, the 1,000 true fans idea. When you become the only option for your people in that topic, you've won. Now, the money hasn't exchanged hands yet, but in that kind of mental shift that your audience has made to think in the entire bucket of Facebook advertising, Kurt Molly is the only guy for me. That's the actual victory point, in my personal opinion. So it's like, how do you get there? And my wife and I, we built multiple brands, multiple businesses now over the last 10 plus years. Value first, content first, help people get the results they desire first. And everything seems to line up from there, which is kind of counter to a lot of people who are, here's my shiny thing. I need to get money from you. I need to get money from you. I got a Lambo payment and I got a $4,000 oil change on my Lambo I got to afford. So I got to sell more rubbish products, versus I'm just out here helping people as many as I can. And it's working. And I think both approaches work for sure. Probably good to have a blend, but I've just gone really all in on this, and it's worked wonders for us.
This is great. So how long have you been online again?
So I started making money online in 2003. Essentially, I was direct linking people on MySpace over to affiliate offers. I learned two big things there. Number one, the platform can turn you off, because they did. Number two, if I didn't have an email list, then when they turned me off, which was almost inevitable with an algorithm change or something, then I had nothing. I had no asset left. My wife and I co-founded a website in 2009, and that's the meditation site. It's Around My Wife as the brand. We still run that today. It has reached over 40 million people organically through Google traffic. She's got 170,000 subscribers on YouTube. She reaches about 5 or 6 million people per month on all of the social medias, et cetera. So that's a really successful business. And that is kind of what floats us. That's why I don't sell anything, because I'm focused on that audience. In 2016, I started teaching everything I know on YouTube for free. It was this calling, man. I saw all these, I call them fake gurus. There's a lot of people just regurgitating a lot of ideas. They clearly didn't know what they were talking about. And I'm like, man, I got more experience. I know more than than these people, these chumps. Finally, I was like, well, then my little inner voice was like, step up then, Miles. Like, then you obviously are the guy to put out the content. So go. I did 120 videos in 120 days. At the end of that, I only had 450 subscribers. Most people would give up at that point and say this doesn't work. But I saw the results from compounding efforts with my wife's first brand. And I knew, I was like, I'm on it. Shifted to 3 videos per week. At the end of year 3, I was making 30 grand a month from YouTube, 100 and something thousand subscribers. And it's just, I continue to reach millions and millions of people, just literally giving away all of my best information for free.
So I love this. So just to be clear, because I don't want to make it sound like it's too easy, but when you made that income and you didn't have any products to sell, do you mind clarifying on how you produced an income?
And before that, and I will 100%. So simple and easy. They're two different things, right? It's simple in theory. It ain't easy. Doing 120 videos in 120 days while I traveled across the Pacific Ocean 4 times, it was horrible. It was a form of torture, but I mean, hey, we're all at home anyway, so we might as well turn on the content machines. So I'm an affiliate. I'm a pure affiliate marketer. So I teach people how to get results that I've created. So my wife and I have built a ton of traffic. We built some very successful and lucrative funnels. Shout out, hat tip to Mike Dillard from the LFP days, where I really learned this stuff, and even Facebook ads, right? So I teach people will search for how to do keyword research. So I've got 6 videos that teach exactly how to do keyword research using the one paid tool that I personally use. I actually use it. So they're like, wow, I know how to do this. I need that tool. They click my link, they buy, I get a commission, they get the result that they want, and on and on and on through all of the variety of things that I use, including the belt method, right? I'm an affiliate for you. I teach the basics of Facebook advertising, how to use the audience insights tool, how to build custom audiences, and all these little bits and pieces that sometimes aren't covered in the deeper dive courses. So I meet people at different awareness levels, and when the time's right and they're open and they work, that's when I'm able to kind of say, hey, by the way, if you want to go deep and get what I'm studying, that's this right here. And it's worth every penny, I can tell you, because I'm in it myself. So that's kind of the business model, if you will.
This is great. This is great. So I'm curious, when you find a solution to write about, so you're talking about a keyword tool, right? And you made 4 different videos for the keyword tool. This is great. Like, anybody can get started at this, by the way. It does take some effort at it, but really you're helping other people with these 4 videos. And again, it comes down to something that you're already using anyway. So do you find that there's a need in the market to talk about this tool? Do you like this tool? How do you decide on the content that you're going to make if you're going to do this 4 video series for that tool?
Yeah, so let's go to the Eugene Schwartz's ideas of the different kind of levels of awareness that are out there. So people might not be aware of the tool, right? Like obviously the keyword finder review would be an easy targetable idea, but most people don't know what it is. They know about the result that they want, right? They're looking for, how do I run a Facebook ad, right? There's so many bits and pieces within that they don't know. In the 4 quadrants of knowledge, there's that what they don't know. And that's actually the biggest portion for my audience. So I start literally by thinking, like I use this noggin of mine. And I'm like, okay, where are they? And it's empathy, right? It's like, how do we get in the mind? How do I get in the life of my best audience members, of my actual people? And I reply to comments. I've replied to over 10,000 comments on my YouTube channel because I'm learning about my people. And then I'm like, oh my gosh, they're there. I thought they were up here. They're there. So I need to make this video, that video, that video. And then they'll understand that. And then I can get them over to where they actually want to be. But they don't even see that there's these 3 hurdles in front of them that they keep running into. And they're like, why aren't my Facebook ads working? And it's like, well, because you don't know these 3 basic things yet. So let me teach you those and kind of meet them there. And then the path appears. So one of the tricks that I've used on YouTube is I imagine one of my good buddies, his name's Matt. He's a real person. And he's threatened multiple times to start an internet business, as I'm sure you have friends who have those beer-induced conversations like, oh, I'm going to do it. Like, okay, buddy. And from day one, I just imagined that the lens was Matt. And I was just going to sit down and teach Matt one thing. And I was going to build the entire path. I was going to teach him everything he needed to know, because we had generated $1 million online. I'd been asked many times, can you sit down on coffee, explain it to me? I said, yes. And I would always explain to people. Finally, I was like, man, I'm just repeating myself. I might as well make a library of this stuff on YouTube. And
Yeah.
he kind of my customer avatar, if you will, and it gives me a lot of freedom, but it also helps me be personable. Just kind of like say it as it needs to be said. I can call a spade, you know, because it's Matt, right? It's a buddy of mine. And then when the user experiences it from the viewer standpoint, they're like, wow, I feel like I'm just sitting here chopping it up with a buddy, and it feels really authentic and genuine. And that is, so then if you contrast that with everyone else in my world of internet marketing, make money online on YouTube, the title's great, the thumbnail's great, the first 30 seconds of video is great, and then it goes straight to, and in my webinar, I'll teach you what you want to learn. And people are like, they don't want to watch a video to learn that you're just pitching a webinar. They actually want to watch the video to learn the thing. I have a summer home and a winter home, and I just came back up to the summer home, and we had to open it up, and one of the toilets, the seal was broken because it was all wet up. So what did I do? I went to YouTube and I searched how to fix this, right? I literally just, it's my how-to search engine. Imagine if that video was like, great, now that you're here to learn how to fix this toilet, buy my $9.95 ebook and I'll teach you how to fix a toilet. Back, next video, who's actually going to teach me the stuff? And I fall in the category of the guy teaching the stuff. So I'm building all the trust, I'm gaining all the attention, and I've grown one of the largest marketing channels on YouTube through that approach.
That's really great.
And it works in every niche. So if you think about
it,
like
does.
Chess, right? Like, so right now we're all stuck at home and it's like, well, what am I going to do? I think chess is a smart people game. And I'm like, I should learn that game. And it's so ridiculously difficult. So I'm learning chess. How do I learn chess? I go to YouTube and I'm watching videos. Knitting, crocheting. How would you learn that? You're going to read a book on how to crochet? No, if you watch somebody, Kurt, you obviously need a beanie, right? You knit yourself a beanie. You would go to YouTube. How do I knit the beanie? And then in that video, the knitter would say, you need these needles, you need this yarn, click the link below and go grab it. And they could potentially make a commission by helping the people get what they want. And the number of niches on YouTube is, I mean, it's in the millions upon hundreds of millions. I don't even know. Like there's some really random stuff down there. And it actually becomes this mechanism to where anyone, like I am such a marketing geek, right? I am not faking this stuff. I eat it, I sleep it, I breathe it, I love it. My wife is a spiritual, she is all in. She loves it. Meditation and angels and spirit guides and crystals. She loves it so deeply. We get to really just geek out and share and teach in our little worlds and become these kind of micro celebrities. And nobody knows who we are when we go into a major airport. We're not celebrities, but when we go to our niche specific things, we're meeting people, oh my gosh, and people see my wife, oh my gosh, you're Melanie, and da-da-da. And it's like, you know, it's amazing the potential. And it all started with the $250 cell phone. I literally just like started recording videos on my phone, no fancy gear. I still use a $49 or $59 Logitech webcam. And it's effort is what got it there, really.
Yeah, I mean, at the end of the day, one of the things you're talking, I mean, there's some skill, obviously, but the other thing is consistency. And so many other people just give up on consistency overall. The other thing is they just start recording a bunch of random videos. Hey, I want to be a celebrity or I want to be an influencer. And they just record a bunch of random stuff that doesn't really help anybody. And it just kind of doesn't go anywhere. And then with no consistency, it just kind of falls apart. I think what's really interesting is I'm very, very open with this. And you've said the same thing too. Since I've been online since 2007, when I couldn't figure something out, I knew 9 out of 10 times on YouTube or Google, I'd find the answer. And I preferred YouTube because I wanted to hear somebody talk through it. And just like you said, if I found a video that wasn't relevant and I didn't connect with that individual, I went to someone else who explained it differently. Now, I am still surprised that more and more people are not playing on YouTube, period, both organic and paid. And something else that I didn't realize that one of our other interviewees, Justin Brooks, talked about was with all the YouTube videos being created right now, it gives basically additional placement that people can advertise on additionally. Like there's always new content being created, whether it's organic, whether that can work with paid. So I'm curious, there's 3 different types of people who are listening right now. Brand new beginners, intermediate, and this is really all your audience, intermediate, and experts who really want to dive in deeper. So beginner, there's a huge land of opportunity out there still on YouTube for people just starting out. Would you mind talking about that for a minute? If someone feels they're out of work, they don't know what to do, their life could be changing, what would be some advice you'd give somebody to get involved in YouTube?
The biggest thing is to shift that. So we get in these cycles of thoughts, right? Like neurons that fire together, wire together type thing. We really get in these ruts, if you will, and shifting to how can I be of service to others? How can I help others? And starting to go forward. When you start on YouTube, there's 3 specific learning curves that you end up going through, right? There's the YouTube platform. It's like, how do I actually publish title, thumbnail, like the actual technical stuff. There's number 2 is really like, what is the thing I'm teaching? So my digital marketing career from 03 to 2016, that's when I was learning the domain knowledge. And then number 3 is, how do I actually like become competent on camera? And I mentioned that there's 3 of them because, it takes sometimes 50, 60, 70, 80, 100. It took me like 150 videos until I was like, I got this. Like I'm actually finally being me on camera. At first I was just like, oh God, this is awkward. The red light's on. I'm totally freaked out. And I got a little more comfortable. And then I tried this and I tried it. And then finally now I'm just like, I'm me. Like I'm really, truly, genuinely, authentically me. And it just takes time to get there. So like there is no time like the present. And what do you currently, for that beginner segment, what do you know about? What can you help somebody with? What do you like obsessed with? It could be a video game, right? Just start recording yourself and broadcasting it. Learn how to do live streams of you playing the game, whatever that thing is. Learn how to start to share your passions. And that's where the audience comes from. You don't necessarily need to be the expert in the field. You just need to be a little bit more helpful, a little bit more willing, and a little bit more creative than other people. And you're going to learn core skills. You'll end up getting into the world of keyword research, and you'll end up getting into the basics of search engine optimization, which YouTube's the 2nd largest search engine. So when you're moving forward as a total beginner, as an amateur trying to turn pro, get into the basics and get your feet wet, you're learning these core fundamental skills that actually apply to WordPress blogs, that apply to big businesses, that apply in so many different directions. And you'd be building them by just sharing something you're interested in. If you're interested in gardening, there's gonna be a lot of people gardening this year. So many more people are going to be spending time in their gardens and wanting to grow some tomatoes and do some basics of gardening. Boy, if you know and you got that domain knowledge, you might as well get a tripod and put your phone on it, get a little selfie stick holder, and start to share your passion with the world. And you'll be amazed at what happens when you are consistent with it over long periods of time. That's the beginner. So the intermediate segment.
So go
ahead.
I want to go back to beginner for just a second.
Absolutely.
Sorry, let's jump in here, because one of the things you said is really mindset. That I've worked a ton of stuff on. You've worked a ton of stuff on. I can hear it in your overall language, but so many people get caught up in the, and I'm saying this is in a joking manner. Mommy didn't love me. Daddy didn't hug me. Uncle didn't buy me a pony. No one's going to care to see my content. I'm not smarter. I'm not better. It doesn't matter. Well, you said gardening, for example. You may just literally just set up your phone in your garden and say, okay, everybody, here's what I'm doing. One of the things that my mom taught me was blah, 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 blah. You have no idea how many people are looking up who really actually want to know exactly that. Like, I don't really know much about plants. My girlfriend loves plants, and I don't know anything about gardening, but when I'm around her family's like, oh my goodness, she has such a green thumb. Did you know when she did this, this, and this? Oh, I had no idea because I'm not her target market. But for instance, filming that, she doesn't know how many people she'd connect with, but this is what Facebook helps to do, and I'm sure YouTube does as well. People will start to find you that are building these micro communities. So that's kind of what I want to talk about on the intermediate, if you don't mind, which is so many people, we've talked about this with lots of our guests. It used to be the adage of, I need millions of people. I mean, hundreds of thousands. I mean, tens of thousands. What you're talking about is helping a small group of people, like you said, with you and your wife's experience, that most people just don't know you. But inside these micro groups, so you don't need thousands of people. What about these intermediate people that kind of are tiptoeing around YouTube? What advice do you have in there? I would assume there's a huge opportunity here.
It's massive, man. And we're living in the age of the long tail, and there's just so many, there's tens of millions, if not hundreds of millions of people watching gardening videos right now. Like, and there's also my wife, what she actually creates are channeled angel meditations. Like what? Like most people are like, they don't even know what that is. It is such a deep niche. She's had 40 million views on her website, and she's had tens of millions of views on her YouTube channel by just being a consistent publisher on that. And what we do now, and I'm going to consider the intermediate people, individuals who have a product. Okay. They not just have domain knowledge on something, but they've kind of sort of got the basics of a funnel. They probably got like an email list type thing. They probably got an opt-in. They're probably selling something, whether it's done for you, done with you, or courses or membership, etc. So for these people, you're really able to start to understand that it's the awareness game, man. It just goes into the breakthrough advertising book for sure. Because what happens is the easy, low-hanging fruit that we've all been picking off the trees for as long as we can are the most aware people, the people who are ready, and they just want to know you can help them get the result. But there's these massive amounts of people who aren't quite ready today. But in 3 months, 6 months, 9 months, 1 year, 2 years, 3 years, 5 years, millions of people are going to want what you have. And they're self-servicing the information at this point in time. And the question I want you to ask yourself is, are they finding you or your competitors when they're searching YouTube for all the little bits and pieces around what you do? So in the Facebook advertising world, it would be, how do I install a pixel, and all these little super minutia basic things. Are they finding you, or are they finding your competitors? And I think that's the really big opportunity in here, because you can start to find out which ones of these videos are actually driving traffic to your website. You can see there's ways to start to boost it and to start to run video ads and pre-roll your ads in front of your competitors. So one of the things we do that's a more advanced strategy on YouTube with my wife's brand is we have a lot of competitors in the spirituality space who do the same thing. And when people search the keyword and we don't already rank #1, we just put our video up there as the ad, and we pay to have people view our video. And it's the same video they're looking for. The search intent is spot on. We just aren't ranking yet. So I'll just pay a couple of pennies to get the attention of that user. There's ways to start to leverage these videos to help your audience members have the aha moments they need, or to build the beliefs that they need to be ready to become a customer. I think it was Todd Brown who talks about it's a series of beliefs that are actually happening in marketing. And then once enough beliefs, what's that big final belief? That's when the sale happens. Videos can build all of those beliefs for you. You can intertwine them into your autoresponder. You can intertwine them into your blog posts. And then I think the most advanced, we're now taking those exact same videos that we've been publishing running on YouTube, and we're plugging it directly into the belt method, top of funnel, middle of funnel. It worked so incredibly seamlessly for us. It's absolutely astounding. And the cost per customer acquisition on our Facebook stuff now has gone from $40, $50, $60 per new customer down. Literally, we have some campaigns running like $4, $4.50 per new customer. Our lifetime value is hundreds of dollars. Our average order value is like $70. So it's kind of mind blowing. We've now tripled our monthly budget, and it's not slowing down. And the reason we were able to implement this and go is because we had all of these little video assets that were value. It was just, let's just give value. And boy, right now our world needs more help. Our world needs more positivity. Our world needs more value. So we can be the ones to give that. And I kind of merged those last two, but I'm sure you got some follow-up for me on that.
Yeah, I mean, the thing is I like to tell people over and over and over, and again, this is just part of my story, is when I grew up in Nebraska, I grew up as a short little fat kid that I was picked on all the time. Then I got to be a bit larger fat kid that was kind of picked on. And I just didn't really fit in at school or anything. And then once I started the online thing, I'm kind of nervous. I got all these other issues and all these other, and then all of a sudden it's like I started finding these micro groups where I couldn't say the wrong thing to the right person. And it's not if I had to stand on stage 10 years ago and speak to a large crowd, I'd be super nervous. But it seemed like once I started doing videos, I know just on Facebook, and I'm thinking of all the missed opportunity I have on YouTube. I have an old YouTube channel that I just haven't uploaded on. But it starts to build this relationship with people. And what I've started to know, the older that I've got, and I guess the older that you get, the less you kind of care. But what I've really started to notice is the more value that I give, the more that I talk, the more that I start to align with the right person, the more that I can't say the wrong thing to the right person. And I get more concerned about what is the kind of content that I want to deliver versus how do other people feel about my video. And I just attract more and more of the right people. And what I hear you say as well too is I think, and I just want to be very specific on this, I think people get confused when it's like, hey, you got to figure out how to build value. Well, how do I do that? Well, how did you change your tire in your car yesterday? You had to figure out that process. Heck, You can literally film that just to show people what you're doing on how you fix something. Because I know when something's broke, as I'm constantly looking and trying to learn from others. And the other thing that you said as well too, Miles, that I really love about this is once you find Miles for an answer, or you find someone for an answer, if you like the answer, you'll keep watching additional videos. That additional time spent with each other is almost like you've been on different experiences together, which brings the alignment, which brings the trust. Now you're not just hawking affiliate products. You have solutions for people to figure stuff out that you're able to monetize, which is great. Instead of, hey, are you buying my shiny stuff? It is, hey, I'm here to help. If you find the value, that's great. By the way, here's the tools that I use if you'd like to do it. I love that. So
I want to get on one thing, just because we both have said it from different ways. The value word that help people get results. That's what they want. That's why they're there. They're looking for a specific result. When they're like, how do I install the Facebook Pixel? It's very clear what the result is. They don't want to buy a $1,000 course right now. They're in their dashboard. They want to get that thing out, and they just don't understand that it's a snippet of tracking code that goes in the head. And they literally want to see you on your screen, go into WordPress and click, and here's in the theme and paste it there, boom. And now use the checker and see, and green light, boom, you got it, cool. And then they do it and they're like, oh my gosh, you gave me the result. You touched on another thing that's super key that makes YouTube extremely unique and more powerful in some regards than other search engines, the suggestion feature. So when you watch a YouTube video, you know they're all over. On your phone, they're below. On the actual kind of computer, laptop, they're on the side. And at the end of the video, they pop up, I think, 12 videos on the end screen. You know, we live in an age, binge watching is socially acceptable. I'm a kid of the 90s. If you went back to school or to work after a weekend and they're like, what'd you do? I'm like, oh, dude, I watched 16 hours of The Office this weekend. People have been like, okay, hold on. We need to have an intervention. This is not freaking cool. Like this, but today, that's like, oh yeah, dude, I totally binge watch Stranger Things. So what happens is they binge watch you. Do you have enough content for them to binge watch? People could literally go in and watch 50, 60, 70, 80 hours of this dude jabberjawing. And they're like, oh my God. And I'm just dropping little marketing bomb, little knowledge bomb, little knowledge bomb. The suggestion engine looks at what they've watched before. YouTube's like, okay, it knows what they've watched. It kind of understands the rabbit hole that they're down. And it's going to give them my next videos suggested that are going to be that next thing, that next thing. And there is absolutely a path of search, discover, binge watch, trust is there. And I get comments like, Miles, where's your affiliate link for this? I want to buy this. You've given so much value. Can you please send me your affiliate link? And I'm like, yep, that's why I do so much in the comments. But people now literally search me out. Be like, oh, I bet Miles has an affiliate link on this. Let me go search for his stuff. And then they'll go find my affiliate link before buying, just because of how much effort and energy in videos. I got about 600 videos on my channel right now in 3 years. And people like, they get the depth of what all that kind of is, and each one is focused on results, which is really the key thing. And sometimes that result is, how do you cut a potato to plant it to grow the most potato plants off of a potato? Because that's how potatoes are grown. Like, I don't know much about them beyond that. How do you cut the potato? I guarantee you and then it just goes all the way down to celery and carrots and all that stuff we should be eating on a regular basis.
So it's interesting, because I'm going to back up to one other thing that you had said just a little while back ago. A good friend that I interviewed for the series as well, Charles Kirkland. Charles Kirkland essentially starts out and he's selling sheds, like backyard sheds. They're blueprints, and then gets involved in this thing called Amazon. And he's like, this whole thing's not going to work. It's just for books. I'm not going to get involved in that. And then it gets involved in this thing called ClickBank, which I've explained on other calls, with a lot of affiliate products. And he had 56,000 buyers, and he's like, how can I better serve them? Maybe they like woodworking tools. Oh my goodness, half the list likes woodworking tools. And what he started to do, and you had said this, and I wanted to touch back on it, really started to research, how can I better serve my customer? Not just what I can sling them, but just because they bought a shed, they're obviously doing other things. They're going to events, they're going to conferences, they're reading certain magazines. What are those things that they specifically buy? Now, I want to talk about building sheds and kind of these unique audiences or whatnot for just kind of a second, because really, truth be told, open kimono, what I'm doing here is, the economy is a little crazy right now. We don't know what's going to happen in 2020. These videos will run for 2020. At the time of this recording, downtown Austin, Texas, a lot of stuff's boarded up for hurricanes. So I'll be very open with you, as I like working from my house. Well, now we're kind of in a self-quarantine, as they call it, just kind of all sticking around. Be very open with you. What I want is some of the smartest brains in the world out there in the marketing world. I want to get some of the ideas of what they're doing. So what I did is I decided to host a summit where I started calling a bunch of my friends to say, hey, I'd like to interview you. I'm not asking for anything else. You don't have to send me any leads. You don't have to do anything. All I want to do is I want to interview you. I want to interview you for the 3 different types of people that I know that listen. That's you. Somebody who's a beginner, somebody who's an intermediate, someone who's an expert who wants to dive in more. We just want to help people have a more well-rounded belt method strategy. So number one, by the way, if you want to get any of these recordings, you can join during open enrollment, which will be when you have access to these recordings. It's the only way. I don't sell the recordings for 99 bucks, because the other thing, again, with the open kimono, I want to interview a bunch of smart people, a bunch of my friends, a bunch of people I want to get to know more by interviewing them, so I understand what they're doing in the economy, so I understand what they're going to be doing next, so they can help out my people. Some people may join the belt, but I'll be very open with you here. I am learning probably a lot more than anybody else is here. I'm just being selfish and being open. And some people will decide to do more business with us. Some people may decide to do more business with Miles. And the thing is Miles doesn't have an offer. What he has is, hey, if you want to find out, and if you like to see some of my answers that I have for some of the problems that I face, you can go ahead and figure that out. And if you want to build a relationship, subscribe to Miles' YouTube channel, definitely. But anyone can start a summit. Anyone can start interviewing. Would you mind just talking about that for a minute? I think it's a missed opportunity where people like, okay, fine, I can garden. Fine, I can show people how to paint. But I'm a mortgage broker. What is a mortgage broker? Well, you could interview a bunch of people. Would you mind talking about that for a second?
Gosh, the mortgage brokers right now. So the Fed just dropped interest rates. We're at zeros. Like, should I refi? Should I not refi? It's a good idea. Is my job secure? There's a million and one questions that are happening right now. Every financial advisor, and that's what's happening is we're entering into a new world. So you really nailed the core idea. And my wife and I have lived this idea for over 10 years now. And we ask ourselves a question every day: how can I be of service to my audience today? And I'm thinking about Matt. What video can I make to help Matt move his business forward today? What can I do today? And my last video that I just put out was 10 business trends coming from this new era of fear, because I think ultimately there are some positive, unfortunately, whatever it is, to disassociate with the physical challenges of it. A lot more people are going to be buying things online, looking for things online, spending time online. This could potentially be a boom for digital businesses, digital currencies, and virtual reality. So I covered those things because in that moment, when I asked myself this question, our brains are great at answering questions. We just got to ask better questions, okay? And the question was, how can I be of service to my audience today? And it was like, well, you could kind of talk about that. Like, okay, yeah, I think that'd be good. So I write down 10 things, I turn it on, I go within 25, 30 minutes, I'm done uploading and it's out the door. And it's coming back constantly to that question of how can I be of service to my audience today? And at first, you don't have an audience. It's an imaginary audience. It's some random imaginary made up person named Matt, who I'm just going to try to help this guy.
So,
go ahead.
One more thing. You have an avatar, Matt, that you talk to. This is so important. Thank you for that. One more time, will you say the number of videos that you first made with a small little following? You did how many videos? Just to recap it one more time.
Yep. So I got challenged by Kyle Cease, personal development seminar to do something for 90 days that scared the shit out of me. It was literally the end of the 2-day seminar. I was like, you know what? I'm going to make a video a day, every day for 90 days. And then I did 90 videos in 90 days and it was horrible. And then at the end of it, I was like, you know what? We always say over deliver for your clients. Like, I'm going to over deliver for this guy. I'm going to do another month. And I did 4 months, a video a day, every single day for 4 months. I did 30-day updates. You can go back through them all. I got a big long blog post on my blog that shows you the full path. At the end of 4 months of doing a video every single day, that was a brutally challenging experience. I traveled. Oh my God. I got sick at one point. 450 subscribers. It looked like nothing was going on. But if you've ever heard the penny that doubles every day experiment, it's often used in financial worlds. Penny, 2 pennies, 4 pennies, 8 pennies, 16 pennies. By the end of 30 days, it's like 1.5, 3, $6 million. And people don't get that. We humans, we're very short-sighted. We're very kind of like instant gratification. It took about 250 to 300 videos to really start to see the 4,000 subscribers, 9,000, 10,000, then it went 20, 60, and now I'm at 125,000 subscribers in like 594 videos or so. And it's just, and now it's just momentum. I could stop and never put up another video and my list will grow and my sales will come in and the cash flow will continue. I don't need to hit the feeder bar. I don't need to go back and put more money in it, but I asked myself this question: what can I create a value for my audience? What does my audience need to do? How can I be of service to my audience today? And my brain comes up with something. I'm like, oh, I'll make that. So I just keep going because I'm on this earth to help other people. That's a very deep personal philosophy, but it's the best idea I can, because I've looked at billionaires who have collected all the things in the world and the big expensive yachts, and they've got 3 divorces and they hate their lives. And there's this weird association with money. We think that's what we want until you get a bunch of it and you're like, dude, this is kind of unfulfilling.
Exactly.
Like, ooh, what's this idea of fulfillment? What is fulfillment? Man, helping other people, having a community, feeling like you're doing good in the world, like getting positive praise, and having enough money to live the lifestyle that you want. Boom. That's the mold I want. And I found that going all in on being of service to others has opened up amazing doors. I mean, that's why I'm on this call with you, right? Like it all lines up from there. I saw you were willing to be of service to people. I was like, dude, that's my mission. Our missions overlap. Let's go be of service to people. So here it is Saturday afternoon, and we're just like,
we're both doing this. Yeah. So
doing what we can.
There's two things before I want to wrap this up, because you hit on this a couple of times even before the pre-interview, and I'm a firm believer in this. So I've made some good money online. We've made over 7 figures online. But the thing is I like taking pictures where I travel. I like taking pictures in my fancy apartment. But I think a little people I don't want to say little people, I think some people get misconstrued. And that is, a lot of this took a lot of hard work. You mentioned that you have a couple of houses that you travel, a summer home and a winter home. And it sounds fun and fancy, but what a lot of people do is they start to advertise this Lamborghini, this Lambo. And what happens is you're advertising, I'm just gonna be very open with you, you're advertising to a market that you really don't want. Because what Miles had said as well too is what ends up happening is you're like, oh, I'm going to get all this shiny stuff, and I got this shiny car, and I got this watch, and I got
get
this
it
thing,
fast, and it's going to be easy.
It's going to be easy. Oh, and then hang on a second. Well, I got to do more launches because I have to pay for all this stuff. Well, if I just lie a little bit, it's not a big deal, because the other thing is, and then the coronavirus comes around, and all of a sudden you are holding a bag of 6 houses, 4 cars, all these products and employees. And literally, like, people call me all the time, and they're like, I just had a call with an agency owner a couple of weeks ago. Kurt, how do you want to blow up your business? And I'm like, no, dude, terrorists blow up their business. They blow up bridges. I don't want to blow up my business. I want to be happy. The thing is a lot of people don't realize is they're trying to go after this big Lambo. By the time that people can actually afford that Lambo, if you actually do the research, Miles said this, Lambo may be interesting because that's a childhood dream, but most of the people that actually get inspired to it, they realize it's actually not the Lambo that I wanted. It's actually the feeling that it produced for me, that fill in the blank. So a lot of the times you just start with service. You start really aligning yourself with leadership, exactly what Miles is doing. Don't get caught up in the person who has the fanciest car, because most of the time when it's rented or whatever, that's not really what you want the older that you get. And what Miles says over and over, and please talk about this, this is the expert, kind of the next level. You kept saying over and over, the long tail game, the long-term game. And now you're talking about these larger audiences and stuff like that. People a lot of times don't see the long-term game, but do you mind talking about that for just a minute? Because you've seen it just a huge growth because of it.
Yeah. And it's fall in love with the process, and people look at the event, right? They're like, I want the 7-figure business. And it's like, cool. Well, mine took me since 2003 to figure out. And like, well, can I get there in 3 months? Like, probably not. Like it took me this long, and I'm pretty smart and I've been doing this a long time. And it's just, we get caught up in status symbols. Like it's worked since the 1800s, and they've used this stuff to sell things for a long time. Learning for me was learning the difference between an asset and a liability, and realizing that when they're flexing on those are literally liabilities. And that means they are sucking cash flow out of this person's life. I collect assets, and that's what I'm into. And that's what I want to do, because that's going to create a life. I studied wealth. There's books like The Millionaire Next Door, and learning. And because I grew up working class poor, I need to make sure that's out there. Like my dad had to go to the pawn shop in order to pay for rent. My mom at one point had 2 pairs of socks because she couldn't afford a third, and she'd wash one day and then wear them and switch back and forth and back and forth. So like I grew up working, and I was like, what is it that wealthy families do that my family never figured out? And it was, number 1, they build businesses, and number 2, they're in real estate. And those were the 2 things that I figured out that wealthy families did. And I was like, cool, I'm gonna figure that game out. Enter the internet, you can start a business. So my wife and I, our business that's generated millions of dollars online, $95.40 is what we started that with. I had $50,000 in loans from student loan debt. We had to move back into my parents at the age of 30. Got tail between the legs with my wife. I'd given all these big promises. Oh, I'm going to be a successful entrepreneur, and I had to move back into the parents. And we just started, and we were able to grind and build through content, through value, through being of service to others. We built this audience and this community and this thing that now it's its own amazing thing that will literally support us for the rest of our lives. But it took 5 to 7 years for us really to dial it in. The second time around, right? This ain't my first rodeo. The second time around, it took me about 9 to 10 months to get over that 10 grand per month mark. But at this point, I had been making money online for 13 years. I had gone through the process multiple times. I'd failed 13 businesses to figure out the one that worked. And just studying success, studying successful people, any overnight success out there, there's a 10-year path of blood, sweat, tears. I mean, your story, I met you pre you disappearing and not being able to talk about things, right? Like everyone has those stories. And when you start to look for them and dig in, then you're like, okay, so I'm trying this YouTube thing, like Miles said, and I've done 43 videos, and God, I feel like crying and I don't know what to talk about, and I'm frustrated and this sucks and I hate it. And then you're like, oh, wait. Everyone who has ever created success had to go through that. And they had to get to the other side. They had to go through the pit of despair. Every single one. Mike Dillard, Frank Kern, you look at all of them. There's a disastrous trail of errors in life at every level behind each and every one of us. Dan Kennedy, Jay Abram, all of us. But the ones who kept getting up and keep taking that next step. And really, I think, how can I create something great for my people? How can I be of service to my audience today? What can I create for other? And it's like, when we get dwelling on ourselves, ooh, it's dangerous. It's a downward spiral of negative emotions, and that negative self-talk kicks in. Man, read a Tony Robbins book. You can get it for free if you ain't never done an Audible book before, right? And just, how can I create something helpful or useful for other people? And boy, that consistent thought, and then stick with it long enough to reap the rewards, because the rewards we're getting today in my life, in my business, that afford us this lifestyle are astounding. And the amount of effort I'm putting in today. So in the beginning, it was this much work and it was this much reward. That's a zero.
Yeah.
There was no reward for years, but we stuck with it, being of service. And now it's this much work and the rewards are like that. And it took 10 years to get there. But what the hell else are we doing with our next 10 years, right? Like, what are you doing with your next 10 years? Why not go be helpful to people and create something like this?
So just to as we wrap this up, so one of the things is just keep in mind, it may take you 10 years. It may take you less time. It's probably not going to take you 30 or 60 days. Yeah. But when you follow people like Miles, guarantee you start to collapse time. That's one of the things that I want to be able to offer you as well too, plus with all these other interviews. So it's probably honestly not going to take you 10 years. It's definitely going to take you more than 30 days. But just remember this. It's a cheesy saying. I've had it for a long time. Lots of people I've worked with remember this. No one ever does anything consistently ever, and that's your advantage. You don't have to be better looking. You don't have to be smarter. As long as you're just consistent. I'm going to record videos for 60 days. How am I going to help people out? Man, I really got to figure this out. And just not stopping, a lot of times what ends up happening, I know at least for me, and I'm sure you probably get this as well too, but like, I would start doing videos and get very little response, and all of a sudden someone raises their hand, messages, calls, whatever. Oh my God, dude, you have no idea. One of the things that you helped me with, it improved my life. Here's what I'm doing now. Thank you, thank you, thank you. And there is not enough money you can give me in the world when I hear that call, and I'm like, guarantee I'm doing another 60 videos and so on. So like, what you're saying here is great. It is amazing. So to wrap the entire thing up, 2020, it's a little bit crazy. We've talked about this as well. I've heard you say consistency. I've heard you talk about the long tail game. One of the things I like to tell people, collapse time by following smart people like Miles, and like just really continue to serve. But right now, there are a lot of people who are binge watching, hopefully all this marketing content that I've put out there, your content, extra time on your hands. What are you studying? What are you looking at right now? What are you currently diving deeper in during this time at home?
100%, man. Like literally, I'm in the belt. I'm all in on that belt method. So I picked that thing up about 3 months ago, and it's an incredible system that takes time to implement. And we're all in on this because what's happening is I'm paying right now to get reach for our meditations, because that's what we offer with my wife's business, meditation. And that makes people feel better. So on Facebook, I'm making sure that every person out there who feels like, and is kind of open to our deep rabbit hole of spirituality, I want to make sure they know they got free meditations everywhere, to the point where I'm just literally running 30-minute videos, 40-minute videos, 20-minute meditation videos. I'm paying to get those in front of people. So I'm all in on this. More people need help today than ever before. And there's only 2 ways we make money. Number one is we help more people solve problems. And number two is we help people solve bigger problems. And today, in the world we live in today, in this new world, more people have more bigger problems than ever before, which means that for the willing individuals to do the work and put out the content and help others, this is the biggest opportunity there's ever been that I've ever seen in my lifetime. And I'm aligning with it, and I'm reinvesting profits we've gained over the last several years to make sure our messages of inspiration, of help, of meditation, to help people calm down and to help people just be okay with being what is and to quiet this crazy voice. I have a greater goal to help 1 million people a month meditate, and we're just pouring our time and energy into that. And it's literally the Belt Method on Facebook is where all of our attention is right now.
I really appreciate it. I think I got to do more of these because like I've learned so much about you. I've loved this conversation. Thank you for what you do for the world, sir. Thank you for supporting us so much. Thank you. Just keep us updated on everything that you do. I can't say thank you enough. I really can't. This has been amazing. Thank you, Miles.
Cheers,
it's been
man.
really great. Thanks, man. Thank you so much. It's been great. Have a great one. Take care.